Welcome to the introduction, or whatever you call the workshop that we are having for the economics optional subject. So just to start with a brief introduction, I'm Shyam Sunder. I take the classes on economics optional, and the entire part I'll be taking up. And this is just a slide to give my brief introduction. That I have been associated with the subject for a long time, including I had cleared the Indian Economic Services exam way back in 2007. And I have been teaching in various forms in economics, in DU, in this institute, in GS as well as optional. So we are having the optional classes regularly on this. So let's see what will be the highlights of this presentation. Voice is not there for the online students? Okay. So what are the highlights of this presentation is, we'll be looking into what we expect from the students who are choosing economics as the optional subject, some myths and realities which are there, because around any subject there is a lot of myths which are created, which needs to be clarified. What will be the role of the teacher as far as I will be concerned, and later on, we'll also look into the structure of the papers, their syllabus, nature of questions, marks. That will be brief, because that will do in more detail when we come to the formal class, etc. And somewhere in between, we'll also talk about how much is the subject relevant in your GS exam, be it the mains exam, be it the prelims exam, the essay papers, etc., followed by a brief reading list. That is the overall purpose of this entire presentation. And what I'll do, I will divide it in two parts. I will take one part of presentation, take any doubts or any queries that you have. In between also I can take queries, no problem on that. And then the second part, and then all the queries again. If you have any doubt which is not handled by the presentation, you are welcome to ask that. So let's start with answering a more general question, that how should you choose your optional? It's not just about economics, but any optional in general. I've written a few things which may help you. One is your interest and background. So clearly, if they are same, nothing better than that. People, those who have background in economics and interest in that also, no doubt it is the best optional, and apply it to other subjects also, not just economics. Otherwise, we generally give interest more importance, because sometimes without background also many students take the optional subject of some other type. How do you recognize all this? For that, you can read some of the basic textbooks like NCERT book. So again, not just for economics, but that will be applicable to others also. Take guidelines from the teachers, because you will have almost all the optional over here. But what I wanted to highlight is, finally the decision should be yours only. Okay, the decision that which optional you are going to select should be your decision only. So at least I will never be forcing you that you should take economics optional for sure, because I'm telling you that. So that after looking into everyone's advice, you should be choosing. That way, you remain committed to the subject till the end of the examination. That is the main goal that we need here. Okay. What else you should look for when you are choosing the optional? How important can it be in other parts of the exam, in GS mains, prelims, etc.? How many students are opting? Although fine, you don't have much kind of control over that. That will depend a lot on how many students clear prelims, but still. Economics is one of the subjects where the number of students opting is very less. And that is also one of the reasons why it's not visible in the list of successful candidates as much as the other optional like political science or anthropology. What we forget is that the number of students opting is very large in those subjects. So success rate is dependent upon both the number of students opting and the successes which are there. Okay, let's come more specifically with our own subject, which is economics. who can choose economics as an optional? So I have written here, although it's slightly close to each other, but fine, I'll read it for you. Clearly, those who are economics graduate, for them, it is the best subject. Economics graduate, some of you have done PG in economics, I'm sure. For these people, economics will clearly be the best subject. Even if not, there are some other related courses like business economics or BCom, or sometimes in BA program, you may have done economics as your optional, sorry, as a paper out there, or BBA or MBA course, etc. In all these cases, the economics is studied at some point of time. Sometimes even in, say, engineering background people, economics is taken as a subject. I think you are aware that in BTech, BE, etc., sometimes economics is as a subject. But even without that background, suppose you don't have that background, then since economics has a fairly scientific orientation, it's very suitable for the science background student all the more. So engineers, etc., have chosen economics as the optional in a regular fashion, and they have been successful also. Not just engineers, people from physics, mathematics background as well. And clearly, as we'll see later, the paper 1 and paper 2 have orientation, which is, one is more science-like, the other is more arts-like. So as far as the second paper is concerned, that is more similar to the social sciences. So in that case, the social science students can also choose this particular optional. Sorry. The social science students can also do that. What is needed basically is a logical and precise writing skill, be it your background from science, be it from economics, be it from the other social sciences, that will be needed, particularly in the paper 2. Okay. Coming to something more general, how do you know whether you have interest in it? This is particularly for those people who don't have background. Okay, those people who don't have a background in economics, particularly for them, this will be important. You can start with some NCERT books, say of 10th, 11th, 12th, etc., and try to see whether you are comfortable in the graphical interpretation or not. One thing is, and I'll clarify that later also, the way that economics questions are asked in optional, graphs are the most important things. Without understanding of the graphs, it's very difficult to do well in this particular optional. Then what else you can do? You can do some simpler articles on explaining certain concepts in the newspaper. In any case, you need to do it for your GS part. Okay, for your GS part, you must be doing these articles, so that if these are related to economic concepts, you'll get some clarity. And don't just depend on the editorial articles, because editorial articles are more difficult. And just one more clarification I needed to make. Many people don't take economics thinking that they'll have to go into details of share markets or financial sector other than share markets, etc. This part is not major part of syllabus. We do some of the reforms in capital market, etc. in the optional, but that is definitely not the main part of the syllabus in economics optional. Economics, okay, fine, just wait for 2 minutes. After some time, I'll take all the doubts at one go. Okay. In economics, typically the orientation is very much academic rather than depending upon the financial markets like the share market. In fact, you can completely leave it also. It won't be impacting your optional preparation at all. Okay. Then you should also look into, in this presentation only, when I discuss the topics of paper 1 and paper 2, mainly paper 1, because paper 2 in any case is linked to your GS economics. The paper 2 of economics optional and the GS economics are very much overlapping, so that you don't need to worry about. Paper 1, when I discuss, you can have a little idea whether that fits in your interest area or not. And as we'll see that if you are interested in welfare issues, policy making, like handling the problem of poverty, inequality, etc., then economics as a subject can be more helpful in taking that up. Okay, let's talk about some of the myths and realities related to economics. I think after this I'll take some doubts first and then go further. This is very important slide according to me, because many of your questions may be answered here. One is that many people think that economics is a very vast and dynamic syllabus in terms of subject. Well, I agree that syllabus is not very small. Okay, there is no point misguiding you. Syllabus is reasonably good enough in economics, but then most of the optionals are like that. There are very few optionals where you will see the syllabus is limited, and there the interest becomes the main, you can say, determining factor. But if you look into most of the optional subjects, the syllabus is vast. It is clearly not dynamic, that I can assure you. Vast, I may still partly agree, but it is clearly not dynamic. Dynamic means what? Dynamic means anything which year on year keeps on changing, or something which is very current affairs based. The reality is that paper 1 is completely static. Okay, there is no dynamic element in paper 1. Reason being, these are all traditional economic theories. Most of these theories were proposed decades ago, some of them centuries ago. Okay, so in the 19th century, in the late 20th century or early 20th century, many of these theories came in. So there is no dynamism out of it. In fact, if you have background in subject, you may have done it in one way or the other. Possibly we'll do it in more detail here. Even in paper 2, there are very less questions which are current affairs based. Okay, most of the questions are non-current affairs. Like we'll see in the syllabus that a lot of discussion is on pre-independence economy, post-independence economy, post-91 economy. Only in post-91, one part is current affairs. But most part of the questions are not based on current affairs. In fact, current affairs that you do for your GS preparation, suppose that you don't take economics as an optional, then also you'll do the current affairs in economics for GS. That much is enough for your optional also. Are you getting the point? The current affairs that you do in GS for economics, that's enough to also for answering the questions in the optional. So it is clearly not a dynamic subject. Let's be clear on that. Second is that only the students of good universities succeed. While it is not again completely wrong. And there is a reason why there are some universities which are so much recognized. That is why you will always see more successful students from, say, University of Delhi or JNU, etc. And I'm sure many of you are also in that category. That clearly makes you better placed. But as we have seen in other optional also, not just in economics, some people from non-subject background actually do well. Because what happens is that when you come from a background, in a way it is good, in a way it is bad also. Because we have some preconceived notion of what type of questions are coming. That is why we have seen sometimes engineers have topped the exam with economics. There are at least 2 instances almost a decade ago when top rank of economics came and they were all engineers. Okay, that way you cannot rule out that without a background you cannot do very well. Basically, that is where mainly the classes will be important. Classes will be important for those people who don't have a background. Then one myth is that it's highly mathematical. Okay, the reality over here is that although there is some role of mathematics in economics, completely agreed, it is more of mathematical aptitude which you need. What I mean by mathematical aptitude is that some kind of derivational capacity. There are some mathematical derivations, not very difficult, and most of them will be doing in the class, that you should be able to understand. Solving numericals, etc. is less needed. Sometimes they are asking it, I will not deny that also, but most of the times that numericals have come, they have been not as a compulsory question. Once I have seen a numerical being asked in a compulsory question, but other than that, generally they have not asked. Many years they don't ask any numerical. But yes, if you have a mathematical aptitude, as I told you, that's going to help you a lot. This is quite important over here. And the good thing is that even if they ask a numerical or something on derivation, in less time you can get very high marks. If you solve the numerical completely, then even 100 marks you can get, which is rare in the best of the answers in descriptive optional subjects, say political science or history or any other such subject, which are generally descriptive. And one more myth is that economics is not scoring. Well, perhaps the myth is coming in because there are not many students seen in the top ranks. Okay, I told you the main reason is that there are lesser of them writing the mains exams only. And that is the reason why they are not there. Actually, it is quite scoring. One is it's very graphical. So many a times we have even seen the toppers also telling that if they had less time in the end to write the answer fully, even if they draw the graph very clearly, what is related to the question, and explain that graph briefly, they have got the good marks over here. So anywhere between 270, 75 is attainable, exceptionally even around 300 or 300 plus marks. Remember, in every optional subject, we have that variety. Okay, we have students who are getting very less marks. We have students who are getting very good marks. We have generally seen that what determines your marks is your interest, and on that day, how much prepared you are in order to handle those questions. And even people with economics background may end up in a low marks on one day, and without a background in economics may end up in getting higher marks. So these all are the things that I wanted to clarify. Let's have a couple of questions from your side now. Yes, you are asking something. Okay, excellent. What was that? The dynamic part. Okay. Okay, the current affairs is not very important. Although it's a good idea to do current affairs so that by chance, if in a surprise question they do ask you, you can write it. But if you look into last 10 years questions also, there are very few questions coming around. Okay, some online doubts also are there. So one by one. I completed undergrad in commerce from Venki College. Will it be a good choice for you? You are basically asking that. Yes, it will be. In fact, if you are a commerce graduate from universities like DU, I am very sure that you'll be able to handle that, because the economics syllabus is also quite in depth in a university like DU. I have fair idea about DU syllabus of economics, commerce, etc. If not of every university. So I can say that with DU syllabus of both economics and commerce, this subject is manageable. Yes, there are various areas which will be doing new, but then even people with economics background will have to do many things which are new. Okay, you can't choose a subject simply because you have done everything. Okay, yes. Not at all. That's what I was trying to tell, that you need basic mathematical aptitude. In DU, etc., the mathematical economics which are done is of much, much higher level. That you may need, if you have completed your post-graduation, you may need it in your Indian Economic Service exam. Okay, although my focus in this presentation is on economics, optional for the civil services. Although I do keep on guiding the Indian Economic Services aspirants also, and although I'm not discussing it here, if time allows us, we take classes also. Okay, not guaranteed one right now. At least general guidance I give. Once I had conducted the classes, but there were not many people who were kind of willing to come. We can do that again, that's not a problem. You will need more mathematics there, not here. The MME syllabus of DU is not needed in optional. Okay, in economics optional, it's not needed. There are some areas where numericals can come, but they are more basic. Like from most of the numericals that you may have done in your microeconomics, like in market theory, etc., that will be enough. Okay. And when we have class, obviously, I'll give you an idea of where the numericals are coming more and where it is not. Okay. Let's have some more doubts from online students. One by one. I think I took only first question. What is basic mathematics required for paper 1? Okay. The most difficult part will be differentiation. So those who have done mathematics till standard 12th also, they will find it easy. I know some of you have not done mathematics even in 12th and are not aware of calculus, etc. That is the reason, and I have written it somewhere, maybe I didn't tell you clearly. That is why when I take classes, I spend a couple of classes in the beginning only on some mathematical concepts. Okay, mainly the differentiation, etc. Because some students are not aware of differentiation. Without differentiation, it's difficult to understand this option. I hope most of you know differentiation, the basic calculus part. So that much will be needed. Rest is what we call the general mathematics that we have. Which part of Eco Paper 2 is related to current affairs? Hold on, I'm coming to that. I'll have the structure of the two papers one by one. How much attention needs to be given to current affairs for economics? I told you already that current affairs are less important, they are not coming. Exactly. If you have done PG in economics, then it will be better for you all the more. Because by the time anyone does PG, generally certain greater part of syllabus is covered, generally. While doing PG from DU, etc., may not be a lot extra helpful, because in DU there is lot more mathematical orientation in PG, which is nowhere needed here. Okay, so if this question is in some mind, let me clarify. Some of the students who have done their graduation from DU think that unless they have done post-graduation, they will not be fit for writing this exam. That's again a myth. Okay, that is not true. The reason being, in University of Delhi, etc., when you do the post-graduation, it is highly advanced mathematical courses that they offer most of the time. That is actually diverting you from the economics optional rather than helping you. I hope I'm clear on that. Questions from national income, etc. No, national income is, in paper 2 they have a part on national income where the questions have come, but I'll be talking about that later. Beginning of the batch, etc. I was going to tell you that in the end, but our plan is somewhere in the beginning of August. Okay, because we have only one batch. Therefore, we begin a little late than other optional, and also we spend slightly longer time than other optional, in the sense that we don't have any hurry to kind of start another batch in the same thing. So that is actually helpful. Difference between economics that you study for GS and optional. Yes, there is a lot of difference. Actually, GS is a very small subset in economics as compared to optional. First of all, paper 1 of optional has very, very less link with GS. Some links are there, which I'll tell you, but very less link. But even in paper 2, the orientation is different. While in GS part, they focus more on current affairs. In optional, they focus more on the overall longer term way in which Indian economy has have been oriented. Okay.
So when we are expected to write optional paper of economics, what is it that UPSC is expecting from us as students? As in to us, what are they actually willing to check when they are taking exams?
Look, in any optional, there is a set syllabus. From those syllabus, the questions are coming, and you have to logically and to the point write the answer. Don't overthink according to me. And that is applicable to every optional. Okay. So for example, if someone takes physics as their optional subject, obviously the question will be technical from there. Even if physics will have no real life or real bureaucratic use therein, obviously the question will be coming from the syllabus. So I think that is not very relevant thing to consider for taking optional.
As in a lot of people say that while the economics optional paper is checked, there are research PhD scholars who are checking the answer scripts, so they expect answers to be relatively.
Well, it all depends upon the nature of question. Okay. In some questions, they expect you to quote some of the recent data also. But some questions by nature are such that you may not be able to quote some research data. Fine. Even for that, I have a reading list, etc. So when I give you the readings, etc. in paper 2, I give you some of the selected articles of EPW, okay, Economic Political Weekly. Time to time, when there are good articles in business newspapers like Business Line, I do share. Okay. In fact, at least one financial newspaper you should do in any case when you are doing economics as an optional. So that's not a big deal. Okay. That is what we are going to look into. But it would be wrong to say that in every answer you have to quote some research paper, etc. Yes, there is one expectation that you generally quote some name of economists who are working on that area. That gives a little emphasis that you have read about their work. Even if you have not been a primary reader of that, you have some idea about it. And the other thing that they generally expect is you should be able to connect economic theory with Indian economy. Okay, that is why when they ask questions in paper 1, they expect that you give example from Indian economy, even if they don't ask. And when you are answering a question in paper 2, which is on Indian economy, wherever needed, you support it from the economic theory. Okay, so when I take the classes, I keep on telling you on that what part of paper 2 you can use in paper 1 and what part of paper 1 you can use in paper 2. The students who kind of are able to link that, the impression that the examiner gets is that he or she is a student who is not taking one paper in an isolated manner or as a watertight compartment, but is able to kind of play around with economic theory and actual economy. So clearly that is desirable. In every question you may not be expected to do that, but maybe in 10 to 20% of the questions that may be expected. Okay. Any other doubt offline so far? Not yet. Okay, so let's take some more online questions. Okay, the question is that during COVID pandemic, the syllabus couldn't be covered. So, well, you must be having read that syllabus if you have passed the exam. Rest of the things, if you join here, I'll be taking care of. Okay, so if you are doing preparations on your own, then you'll need to kind of more clearly know that what is needed and what is not. If you come to the class, even class notes will be taking care of a big part of syllabus. Yes, a non-mathematics student can understand differentiation. Don't worry about it. Because after all, differentiation is also linked to some of the basic mathematical part that we do before that. You will just need to be extra attentive in the initial classes. Those who have background in mathematics, they will find it easier. Those who don't have, they will need to be extra attentive. But I do whatever is needed in the class itself. Exactly, that's what I was telling, that in IIT, etc., the microeconomics is now coming in as a paper sometimes. So clearly they will be helpful to you. No doubt they will be helpful. But then, no matter where you have done microeconomics, etc., maybe orientation of this exam will be slightly different. To give you one example, I'm not exactly aware of IIT syllabus, but in DU, there is a lot of emphasis given to theory of consumer behavior in microeconomics. typically half of the time students spend on consumer behavior theory, solving numericals, etc. But in economics optional, the consumer behavior part is very limited. Okay, they do ask questions, but maybe 1 or 2 maximum from consumer behavior theories. More questions come from markets, etc. Where in DU kind of syllabus, somewhere or the other, the time spent is not as much. Okay, so those who have economics background may have done everything, but then also will have to adjust your weightages. Possibly something that you assigned higher weightage in undergrad, now you will assign less and vice versa. So I can give you few examples, but when we'll take up the class, we'll be taking up that. I told you that most probably in the first week of August we'll begin with the optional batch. Okay, most probably in the first week of August, it will be there. That will be notified, don't need to worry about it. How should we gather and organize information from official sources like RBI? Okay, I will keep on telling you when the particular area comes in. Okay, like I will also share some of the papers written from the RBI officials, etc. Although there is no point looking into all data sets of RBI, you are not doing a research. Okay, time to time, suppose that you need some data. Let's say you are finding that there are questions coming on, say, non-performing assets. Okay, in GS or in optional, wherever it is. So you can go to RBI website. There is a specific link called database on Indian economy. Go in there, look into the NPA data, get some basic things noted down and come out. Because if you start going into all the data sets, there is no end to it. You have to be very selective there. Even if you don't go into all that, generally in the class, I'll give you a lot of it. So my purpose is that particularly in paper 1, okay, even in paper 2, but more in paper 1, even if you have attended the classes properly, you should be able to answer the questions. Readings I'll tell you, but even without readings, ideally you should be able to answer. Paper 2 is more open-ended in a way. That is why I cannot guarantee that whatever I do in the class will be the same as. So there I'll give you something else also to read upon. Okay. I think no other questions so far. Any other doubt among offline? Yes.
Till the commencement of batch, what we can do for
Okay, that I'll tell you. Hold on. Just remind me towards the end. I'll tell you that also. Okay. Let's come to the remaining part of my presentation. One is what will be the nature of the 2 papers, the paper 1 and paper 2. So paper 1 is including economic theories, and first of all, be clear about the meaning of theory, because the meaning of theory is also not clearly understood by many students. When we use the word theory, many people think that we have to write a lot. No, no. Theory is about actually lesser writing and more of the analytical part of it. Again, if I'm talking about a theory in political science, that may be very word-based theory. But when we generally talk about theories in economics, they are very analytically given. Sometimes graphically given, sometimes mathematically given, or sometimes just a logical kind of steps given. It is not very word intensive theory. Okay. So what part of what part of subjects we have in paper 1? There are 4 main parts all in all. Okay. The first one is on microeconomics. Microeconomics looks into individual behavior. I know many of you are aware of these basic things. Within individual behavior, what parts do we do? Consumer behavior, the behavior of firms or the market forms. Okay, market forms like perfect competition, oligopoly, etc. Okay, theories of distribution. This area is less covered in most of the universities. At least in University of Delhi, etc., they don't even cover theory of distribution, while in optional they are asking questions. Possibly some of you who are from other universities have done theory of distribution. That is what I was trying to say, that don't become disheartened if you have done your graduation from some other university than DU. Because maybe some part which you did, even the students of DU or JNU may not have done. And some parts which they did, you may not have done. We are kind of a meeting point for both of you. Okay, so we'll see what are the theories of distribution, and then general equilibrium and welfare theories. Okay, this will be the main part of microeconomics. I consider this as the most technical part of entire syllabus, as in even time taking. Okay, so we'll be spending at least a month, I should say, only on this part, because believe me, this is genuinely the area which we cannot skip quickly. But then whatever we do here, whatever time we spend here, is a lot helpful in other parts also, even in paper 2. So if you have got the welfare theories very well in your mind, sometimes in paper 2 also you'll be getting a lot of help, and sometimes in other parts of paper 1 also. So that is the reason why, even if we spend more time, we'll do that. Coming back, the second part will be macroeconomics theory. Although money banking and public finance are written separately in your syllabus, I'm combining them here. Okay, why am I combining these three parts? Because they are very much interrelated. Money banking is also fundamentally a part of macroeconomics only. Most of the theories are macroeconomic. Public finance is again a combination of micro, macro both. So I have just summarized it together in terms of the weightage in the examination. So what do we do in macroeconomics? Mainly the different schools of macroeconomics. Schools here means the different thoughts that have been given, and the common schools are named as this: classical, neoclassical, Keynesian, new classical, monetarist, new Keynesian. I feel that so many schools of macroeconomics are rarely covered in any university. Surely not in DU. Okay, most of the DU syllabus is around Keynesian, new classical, maybe monetarist. Most of the discussion on new Keynesian, classical, etc. is not taken up in more detail. So that way, even if you are coming from a good university, there will be a lot more to learn. And clearly that will be applicable to other universities also. What else will be done? What else will be done in macroeconomics? Within these schools of macroeconomics, we'll be looking into the interaction between various variables like income, unemployment, inflation, wages. Within that, what is the impact of fiscal monetary policy, etc. Well, let's pause here and discuss something. Macroeconomics in a way is more systematic than microeconomics, and you will find it easier. Questions are coming from both ways. Macroeconomics is more integrated kind of a thing. So we'll move from classical to neoclassical to Keynesian. You'll see a clear-cut link out there. Okay. Then in money banking, we'll be talking about, so I didn't write much because this is quite similar to what we do in GS also, like money multiplier theory, okay, or we'll be talking about the banking concepts, say non-performing assets, capital adequacy, okay, those parts. Public finance will mean taxation, public expenditure, subsidies, which are mostly microeconomic in their nature, but somewhere the mix of micro and macro also comes in. So one part micro, second part macro plus money banking, etc. Then comes the third major part, international economics. In international economics, the major subparts can be theories of international trade. Okay, those who have background in economics must have heard of the theories like comparative advantage theory, Heckscher-Ohlin theory, and so on and so forth. Then after that, trade protectionism, like the role of tariffs, non-tariff barriers, okay. Open economy, macroeconomics. So within international economics, one part will be microeconomic linked. So the 1 and 2 are more linked to microeconomic part, The other part will be more macroeconomic. In any case, economics fundamentally is either micro or macro. Whatever we do beyond that is a mix of that. So like in international economics also, some part will be micro based, some part will be macro based. Okay, and then there will be a few things which are beyond micro and macro also, like trade blocks, monetary unions, WTO agreements. These are all overlapping with your GS syllabus also. In GS syllabus also, generally, you are expected to know about trade blocks, WTO, agreements on WTO. This part is unique, however. This will not be in GS part, this part will be. So I hope you have already started realizing that some part of paper 1 is overlapping with GS, like money banking, public finance, these things, trade blocks, monetary union, WTO, etc. Although I have a separate discussion on that later. And then fourth and the last part will be growth and development. We are still doing paper 1. In growth and development, what we do are theories of economic growth, like Harrod-Domer model, Solow model, Romer's model. Those who have background must have heard of these names. Okay, so we'll do these things. Harrod-Domer, Solow model, Lewis model, and so on. Then some specific discussion on economic development in developing and least developed countries. That is where we'll be talking more about Lewis model, Myrdal's model, okay, Myrdal's economic development model, etc. And then there will be a list of linkage of economic development with something, like agriculture and economic development, international trade and economic development, planning and economic development. One area is just on welfare indicators like HDI, and one will be environment and economic development or sustainable development. Again, this entire part, if you look at it, is somewhat overlapping with GS. In GS, questions on sustainable development are common. Questions on welfare indicators like Human Development Index are common. So can you see these parts are overlapping with the GS part. Sometimes in mains GS, they may give a question on planning and economic development, etc. also. Not common, but they can give questions around that. So this is about the paper 1 overall structure. Now we come to some of the broader features of paper 1. By features of paper 1, I mean what you will be expected to do. Overall, what should be the focus? It's a theoretical paper, and I already clarified theoretical doesn't mean descriptive. Theoretical means that you have to be specific about what is being stated by certain economists. Okay, like what is the theory of, say, market or consumer behavior. Okay, those who are new to economics, for them I have written a few things. Economic theories typically are looking into the behavior of economic variables under some assumptions. We generally take some assumptions and then look at how the economic variables are behaving. Economic variables can be microeconomic variables or macroeconomic variables. Okay, that I've already written. So both types of theories can be there. And what is the purpose? The purpose is to reflect reality only. Particularly macroeconomic theories, all the more, will be close to reality of how the government is taking its policy or RBI is taking its policy, etc. Assumptions are needed here because we are doing a behavioral science. And in any behavioral science like economics, we cannot do study without any assumption. And that is the reason why the assumptions will be very crucial. And just to give you some more idea, within economic theories, we may also do some different models of economics, depending upon the syllabus type. Sometimes we'll just do a theory in brief and come out of it. Okay, just like, let's say, indifference curve theory in the consumer behavior. Sometimes we'll look into a theory in more detail through some models of economics. Like the best example would be market theory. Within market theory, there will be different markets like perfect competition, oligopoly, etc. Oligopoly, which is one of the high favorite area of questions in this paper, will do multiple models, as in how the sellers are interacting with each other. Some examples are Cournot model, Bertrand model, Stackelberg model. So within oligopoly, the different economic models given by different economists will be looking into. Don't bother about these names. These are all names of economists. So Cournot model given by the economist named Cournot. What is it and so on, that will be done later. Okay. And just one link with those who are from the science background, somewhere or the other, they are similar to the science-based models also. So just like, suppose that when a company is manufacturing a car, they do some analysis of models of car before coming up with the actual car. Something similar we do in economics. Before bringing something in a real economic context, we take up a model-wise analysis under some assumptions. Okay. Although I've told you something already on this, but still, what is the relevance or importance of paper 1 in GS papers? Quickly on that. Money banking, public finance, etc. often account for 7-8 prelims questions. Don't look at this prelims as an example, okay, where economics questions were very less, but that is exceptional. Money banking came up this year also. Public finance questions were not here, but money banking related questions were there this time also. And as I told in the GS class also to many of you, about 20 questions come in prelims from economics. This year has been exceptional one in that sense, I've told you already. Then comes some of the international economy related topic. Balance of payment, trade agreements, WTO. We have seen questions around them, sometimes in prelims, sometimes in mains also. So that way it will be overlapping with both part. And same for growth development. More important for mains questions, directly or indirectly, because questions on agriculture is common in mains exam. So if you may not be able to write the entire answer on agriculture through this part, at least a basic framework you can create from there. Okay. A quick look at structure. As in structure, I mean how many questions, what marks. This structure is more or less similar for every optional paper. So this is not new for only economics, but still, if you have no idea about how optional papers are oriented, have a look at it. Questions asked are of 400 marks. You have to attempt 250 marks. Okay. Or you can say you have to attempt 5 out of 8. So 8 questions are there, 50 marks each. You have to attempt any 5 of that. And roughly we have seen it is equally divided in the 4 areas that we have done. Year to year the weightage can be different, but roughly we have seen say 100 marks each from micro, macro. When I say macro, I include money, banking, public finance. 100 from international economics, 100 from growth development. But again, it can vary. Generally, when it varies, they give more weightage to the later half. Okay, if they have to ask more questions some year, they will generally choose international economics and growth and development. And there is a reason for it. You cannot answer, say, international economics question if you are not good at micro and macro. So if you are answering an international economics question, it is a proof that you have done your micro macro well. Are you getting the point? So that is why they may ask less questions directly from micro, but may ask more from international economy. That's an indirect way of checking your preparation. Same for growth and development. You cannot answer growth development model related answer unless you are good at micro and macro. So sometimes we have seen international economics and growth development having higher weightage, but you should generally assume that more or less equal weightage is there. Okay, there are 2 sections in which the question paper is divided. One section is of compulsory questions. Okay, there are 10 compulsory questions in all. 5 in one section, 5 in the other. Okay, so 2 sections, 5 questions compulsory in one, and then again 5 in the other. Each one is worth around 10 marks generally. Generally, the word limit is 150 words, but sometimes if a question is expecting you to draw graphs, etc., they don't care about word limit. Many a times I have seen they don't even give a word limit. That's one unique thing about economics. In most of the optional paper, you will see they will give a strict word limit. And many students fight a lot in maintaining that word limit. In economics, you can breathe a little easy on that. Okay, so if they are giving you a question on, okay, this is the Keynesian model that we are talking about, say ISLM model, and what will happen if this happens to the ISLM model? You don't need to worry about the word limit. Just solve the question and come out of it. If you have done it correctly, no one will be looking into the words. Most probably they will not even give the word limit. And I've seen the same thing in compulsory question also. They generally don't give a word limit. In economics, word limit is rare in paper 1. Okay, that doesn't mean you will write whatever you want. Okay. In fact, that's a good thing that you can write less but sensible answer and get good marks. That is the point. Okay. I already told you that if graphs and numericals are there, there is no limit on that. Compulsory questions can come from any topic, and they do keep on changing the pattern. Okay. Although the standard format has been that more compulsory questions they are asking again on international economics and the growth and development. But no hard and fast rule.
Sir, can you give an example?
Of what?
The questions, like compulsory questions from international economics.
Okay, look, the idea is that the nature of compulsory and optional questions will not change a lot. Okay, what will change is the time that you devote to it and the way in which. So, for example, in international trade, there are many theories. Like one of them is, say, product cycle theory. If they're asking a compulsory question on that, they will just ask, what are the different stages of the product cycle theory in international trade? Okay, a 10 marks question, you have to straight away write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stage, come out of it. They can ask you a similar question in a optional part, as in non-compulsory part, because that will be more marks worth. They may complicate it further. So there they can ask, what is product cycle theory? Okay, explain how is it different from, let's say, Heckscher-Ohlin theory of international trade. Are you getting the point? So you cannot predict exact question. The same topic related question can come in compulsory or in optional one also. But whenever it is a longer question, the optional one, there it will be more detailed. Marks is more, the time given is also more for you. Okay, going further into it. So what I wanted to tell you here is, you cannot leave any topic in paper 1. Okay, I shouldn't keep you in dark on that, because many a times people say that, can we leave this part and just do? No. Don't take that risk, at least in paper 1. In paper 2, still somewhere we can take that risk, although there also it's not advisable, but it's not worth taking risk in paper 1 to leave any topic. Yes, it's obvious that every student have their area of expertise. Some students like macroeconomics more, some like micro more. And there is nothing wrong in that. In that case, your focus should be more on macro if you like macro more, and vice versa. That is up to you. But leaving one part is too risky. Okay, that is completely not advisable. Whether you take the classes here or not, if you are writing economics optional, don't take chance of leaving any part that we have done in 4 of them. Okay, this is about the non-compulsory question. 3 questions are there in 2 sections, A and B. So 2 plus 3 plus 3, that is it. Okay, 50 marks each, and that is why you have more space to write upon all that. Okay, generally there is no word limitation, so that's, as I told you, is the best part of it. and hence the focus should be just on writing what is being asked. Unnecessary beating around the bush, not needed. And graphs are always advisable to be drawn. If they tell, obviously, if they don't tell, then also. Many a times, even if graphs are not being told in the question to be drawn, if there is a relevance of graph, drawing it is better. Okay. One more thing, in these 6 questions generally, we have seen 3 parts. Not necessarily it will be of the same weightage, which is 15 plus 15 plus 20 marks. So they subdivide the 50 marks into 3. But again, be careful. They may ask 15 marks from micro, 15 from macro, 20 from international. Okay, don't expect that 15, all that will be from international or all from growth and development. They have full freedom of moving from one area to the other. Okay, this is about paper 2 now. Paper 1 over, coming to the paper 2. Paper 2 has 3 parts mainly. One is pre-independence Indian economy, or you can also call it economic history of India. Pre-independence will mean that generally you will have to do the time period 1857 to 1947. Okay, generally 1857 to 1947 time period. The best part of this area is the questions are highly predictable. The reason is, at that point of time, Indian economy was not as diverse as it became after independence, and even more after 1991. So the scope of asking question is very less. And that is why I always advise that this area should be done very well. Typical areas are agriculture, drain of wealth, industrial sector, etc. And this should be done very well, because if you prepare answers on this part, then you are surely going to answer some of the questions. So I have some overall trend analysis written here. Sorry, it will be coming later. I'll come to that later. What I was trying to tell you here is that somewhere in your paper 1 of GS, where they are asking history questions, there may be overlap with economic history. Like we have questions on drain of wealth, famines in paper 1 GS. I hope you are understanding. That can be overlapping with this part. In fact, if you have done economics optional, I can assure you the quality of the answer when you get a question on drain of wealth or deindustrialization or say other things on economic history will clearly be much better than a typical student of even history. Because in economics, when we do this part of history, we support it with data, etc. more properly. That much of detail is not even done in the history part. Okay, so that will be helpful that way. Let's come back. Then comes the second part, post-independence. History questions. That's why I was telling you. In GS paper 1, GS mains exam paper 1, you get some history questions. Okay, like we have seen questions on drain of wealth, deindustrialization, famines, that you automatically prepare as a part of history syllabus also. So suppose you are not taking economics optional, then also you will do these things in GS. Deindustrialization, etc. you do in GS. What I was trying to say, you will have extra information about these things when you are writing that GS part. So all in all, some part of economic history will help you in not only economics optional but also in GS, and in a much better way. This is one part which is often ignored by many of the students. Coming to the second part, so this is the post-independence, what is cut down here. This is post-independence Indian economy. So what parts are here? I've just summarized the main parts. Obviously in detail we'll do it later. So the time period is 1947 to 91 here. When I say post-independence, generally I mean post-independence but pre-91. Okay. We'll do the nature of economic planning. Someone was asking national income. Yes, we'll do that here also. Okay. In national income accounting, will be doing not just the current national income accounting, but also the history of it. Okay, how the national income accounting originated since independence, etc. Then the common areas will be agriculture in this time period, industries in this time period, foreign investment, trends in national income or national income growth, etc., inequality and poverty. And this is not exhaustive. We'll do more of it. Okay, one more thing. By the time that we come to post-independence economy, etc., in paper 2, data also becomes important. Numbers. Okay. So generally when I do economics in GS classes, I tell you that don't focus on data a lot. Because in GS questions, data-based questions are less common. But in optional, sometimes they will ask you. Questions like this have been asked. Explain the trend of GDP growth in India during 1947 to 91. That can come. Or explain the decadal trends of GDP growth since independence. So there you will have to have some numbers in your mind. And don't worry, we'll do that in the class. In the class, I will make various tables and provide you also with some of them, where I'll give you the trends in GDP growth, employment, and various other. In fact, at some point you'll say that, is it important to do all the tables? Okay. But then my goal will be to give you as much as I can. Possibly even if you remember half of it, your job should be done. Okay. Why should I make less tables for you? I will give you more and leave it to you as much as you can remember. And feel free to use it in your GS answers by chance that is needed. Although in GS, generally the data-based questions are less common. Okay, coming back, what about the weightage of the question? From economic history, they ask generally 60-70 marks. From post-independence, generally about 100 marks. Okay, and as I told you, even here we have part A and part B. Just like in paper 1, we have part A and part B even here. Major part of part A is economic history plus post-independence. Although they are sometimes changing this pattern also. Sometimes they can pick up an economic history question and put in part B. They have full freedom. But majority of the times I have seen that in part A they ask pre-independence plus Indian economy till 91. Okay, and then in part B they talk about the post 1991, which I come to now. Sorry. So some questions can include even both pre and post 91. This is important. Since in any economy you cannot divide economy in watertight compartments. Ideally, you cannot even divide pre-independence with post-independence. Still, there is some division which is remarkable there because the political power is changing. We are becoming independent. The political power is majorly changing. So, pre-97, post-97, you can still clearly demarcate. Doing that is very difficult in pre-91 and post-91 because things are going in continuation. So some questions expect you to talk about both. For example, they can ask you a question on compare the trends in poverty in India pre and post-91. Okay, so that is a question which is included in both parts. You have to begin with pre-91 and then go into post-91. And that is why, just to inform you, when I cover paper 2, okay, my mode of covering paper 2 is following. First, I cover economic history. That is clearly one chunk which I complete in one go. Then when I start with post-independence, I do topic-wise discussion. Like I will start with planning and start from 1947, strictly 51. Planning Commission comes in 51. Start from 1951 and end till now. Okay, which is pre-91 and post-91. I think that is a better way to study the subject. Because if I go till 91 and stop and then later on, then you'll forget the rest by that time. So it is always better to take one area and then do the entire analysis. Similarly, if I talk of poverty, I'll start from 1950s, 60s and talk about till date. Okay. Your questions will be in parts or in combination. That you decide depending upon the nature of question. But in class, we'll discuss it in one go. Sorry. Then comes the last part, post-LPG reforms or post-1991 Indian economy, where more or less the areas are same as pre-91. That's what I was trying to tell you, that areas will be the same: agriculture, industries, foreign trade, investment, public finance. Some areas would be new, however. For example, in industries post-91, we'll be doing terms like disinvestment, which was not there pre-91, or we'll be doing Competition Act, which was not there pre-91. So clearly the post-91 industrial discussion will be much more detailed than the pre-91. Foreign trade investment role increases after 91, so we'll talk more. Public finance is also very different after 91, because the role of finance commission, through which we talk about fiscal federalism, becomes very different after 91. The coming of FRBM Act or the reforms in taxation, these all things make post-91 Indian economy very different from pre-91. So all these things will be taken care of when we do that part. Okay, I've just written all that. In post-91 we'll also do monetary system, banking, planning, employment inequality. These are both for pre-post-91. Okay. Roughly about half of the questions are coming from post-91. As I told you, the entire part B of the paper 2. Almost the entire part B of paper 2 is post-91 with around 200 to 20 marks weightage. 5-6 compulsory questions can come in, depending upon the mood of the question setter. Sometimes we have seen in part B, all compulsory questions are post-91. But if they want to confuse you a little, they will drop one economic history question there. Okay, so that kind of possibility clearly remains. Okay, and the paper 2 is also where this part of paper 2 is also what is overlapping in the GS paper 2 and 3. So when you are writing economics answers in paper 3 of GS, okay, I'm now linking it with GS, or sometimes even some questions in paper 2 of GS, then this post-91 economy will be helpful. But with some differences. As I told you, in GS they are asking more current affairs oriented questions. So suppose that they are planning to ask you a question on, let's say, infrastructure in GS paper 3. Generally the question on infrastructure in GS will expect you that you are aware of the infrastructure policies in last 2 years or maybe 3 years. But in this part, if they ask you, they will expect you that you have an idea of entire post-91 infrastructure. Okay, so that is actually a good thing. That will keep you better placed to write the answer even in the recent time period. Okay, coming to the structure, there is nothing much to talk about. More or less same as paper 1. So I'm not writing each and everything. The same setup, 10 compulsory questions, 5 plus 5, 10 marks each, total 8 questions. So 3 optional questions in each, and overall you have to attempt 5 questions. So 2 compulsory plus 3 from any other 5. That is the structure, which is same in paper 1 and paper 2. However, generally we have seen that sections are more clearly divided in paper 2. Take it as a general thing, not necessarily always. Like section A is mostly pre and post independence. I told you this already. And the section B is mostly the post 91. So we have done that, and that is the reason why here some selective study is possible, but it will still be risk taking. Generally I advise that in paper 2, if you are very good at, let's say, economic history part, then maybe some part of 97 to 91 part, you can give less emphasis. Okay, because you will not need to answer each and everything. But still, in order to remove the risk, it is always advisable to read more or less the complete syllabus. Now, coming to a few more things, I think I'll cover the PPT and then take all the doubts. What is the relevance of paper 2 in GS? Earlier I told you about relevance of paper 1. In paper 3 of GS, we have about 60-70 marks question purely linked to economics. On an average, we are finding 7-8, sometimes even more questions in paper 3. Then paper 2 also is asking 2, 3, 4 questions. Some of the questions that they are asking in paper 2 also cannot be answered by someone who has not good depth in economics. Look into last year's paper 2, GS paper 2. There was a question on Competition Act. Okay, I know Competition Act maybe a GS student would also know about, but the question was not just on Competition Act. It was related to link between Competition Act and MNCs in India. Now, it is truly a difficult question for a GS student. But when we do say Competition Act as a part of economics optional, we'll do it in more detail. So all am I trying to say is that you become a better prepared way to answer some of these questions if you have economics optional. Okay, sorry, this is what we had done. So paper 3 mostly economic, paper 2 also some. Paper 1 also, as I told you, from economic history questions are coming. Some part of social issues are also linked to economics, like inequality. Some parts of geography, like industrial location policies, can also be linked. But paper 1, I would say, is not that important, paper 3 and paper 2. Overall, we have seen around 100 to 130 marks on an average out of the total 750 marks in the 3 GS papers are where you need knowledge of economics. Okay, and clearly if you have optional as economics, then you'll be getting more help. Sometimes in essay topic also you may get help, although I agree there are many years where essay topics have nothing to do with economics. That also I agree. But sometimes they are giving one essay topic with some economic link. Okay, so that is where you can also get the help from here. And the other thing is that even if you are writing answers to some other subjects in GS, having an idea of economics will help you. For example, it is fundamentally interlinked with sociology, public administration. Like in public administration, you do governance, poverty, governance, links, etc. are very common. Linked to geography part, sometimes history part also. Okay, sometimes international relations also. So in GS, you regularly write answers on international relations between India and such country. Most of the international relations are driven by economic motives, remember. No matter on the face of it, whatever they say, our culture is so similar and so forth. Okay, that is for showing more. At the root of it, they have economics. That is why we are bearing Russia, okay, attacking Ukraine, justifying it through political means that, okay, Russia is doing well. We are getting cheaper oil from there. That is the main reason why India cannot openly go and criticize Russia. And that is one of the reasons why many a times we don't openly criticize US. Okay, if we openly start criticizing US, who will buy our goods? US is one of the main importer of the goods, etc. and services also from India. So someone who is good at economics of international relation will start understanding international relations in a better way. So that is one way, one area where you can get help. And apart from that, there is a general benefit of economics. It's a highly logical subject, yet humane. Okay, we'll see very rare subject where you have this combination, that we have to look into something which is very ideal, yet we look at it in a very logical perspective. So if you do subjects like sociology or say philosophy, etc., they do talk about ideal things. Okay, no problem. But then logically speaking, somewhere you will face a problem. I'm not blaming any subject, by the way. Okay, there may be some kind of logic there also. Or you will have some subjects which are highly logical, but then there will be no link with the kind of welfare theories also there. Economics is a good link of both. Okay, therefore, it's a very ideal thing to have an economics background when you become a policy maker. Okay, when you become a bureaucrat or a policy maker, having a background in economics helps you a lot, because you can look at the things both analytically and in a humane manner. Okay, you cannot be as analytical as you will just say that what is good or bad for a particular policy, yet you have to look into it in a logical manner. Okay, quickly on reading list, and I'll answer your doubt question also here. This reading list is brief. Okay, maybe more of it I'll be adding. So in microeconomics, one fundamental book that you can go for is a book by Kotsenis. A. Kotsenis, Modern Microeconomics. I know most of you have not heard of this book, because this book is very old one. Decades ago, it used to be in syllabus of DU. Okay, but those are ancient times now, in a way. Recently in DU, etc., Kotsenis is not given much emphasis, but it's an excellent book on civil services, particularly because there is no other book which discusses market theories as good as this. Okay, because I told you in microeconomics, market theories have a big weightage, and market theories are best given in the book on Kotsenis. So that is the main reason that this book is important. Sorry. Although you may also go through the books like H.L. Ahuja. So let me share one thing with you. H.L. Ahuja is an author who writes books on almost every area of economics. Micro, macro, money, banking, growth, development. Look for the area and you'll see an H.L. Ahuja book. Well, in a way, that's a thing to be respected. Okay. The problem with these books is that they write everything. Okay, no matter whether you need it, don't need it, everything is written over there. So if you look into the microeconomics book by H.L. Ahuja, it is this thick. Okay, and half of it you will never need it. Okay, more than half of it actually you will never need it. Still, I keep it in a reading list, because the way to prepare it is this. Few things which are not found anywhere, you will find it in H.L. Ahuja. Okay, and that is the main importance of such a book. So many things that you will not find in Kotsenis or even in the readings that you have done in your university, then H.L. Ahuja is there. But according to me, this is not an ideal book to do entire syllabus, because many of these things are too repetitive and not given in the manner that questions are being asked. Like H.L. Ahuja book is less mathematical. Sometimes in this exam you need a mathematical approach. So I'll keep on telling you that. When I take up a particular area in the class, I'll keep on telling you where you can read it from, if you wish, apart from the class notes. Okay, if more readings are needed, I'll talk about that. Coming to macroeconomics, and including money, banking, public finance, first macroeconomics. The best book for macroeconomics in my knowledge is the macroeconomic theories, the macroeconomic theories and policies by R.T. Froin. Okay, the Froin's book on macroeconomics. I don't know if you have seen this. I don't think it is in syllabus of or the reading list of DU, etc. But this book is more or less organized in the same way as the syllabus of this exam. Okay, there is no other book that I have seen on macroeconomics which is so well organized in accordance with the syllabus. H.L. Ahuja also writes macroeconomics, but the same utility. something that you don't get in Freud, you can go for it. But if you get something in Freud, it is not advisable to go for the H.L. Ahuja book, etc. If you want to study something, before we start the class, I think you should read Freud. Okay, if you want to study something, say we still have minimum 1 month to start, then you can study Freud. The reason I'm telling you that is, whatever you read will not go waste, that I can assure you. Even if you don't take by chance economics optional for that matter, this part will be helping you in understanding the GS part of economics better. So nothing will go in waste. Okay, you can start with mainly the chapter 2. Chapter 1 is more of national income, which is easier part. So from chapter 2, they start talking about the classical theory of economics, followed by the Keynesian theory, the neo-Keynesian theory, etc. Why didn't I tell you to read microeconomics? Because microeconomics, I will do from various sources. If I tell you to do microeconomics right now, the chances are that you will spend a lot of time on where questions are not coming. So that will be a wastage of time. When we meet for the class, I'll help you out in that. Microeconomics is trickier part, because Kotsenis is a good book, but even in Kotsenis, every microeconomics part is not there. So when I do it in the class, I'll collect things from relevant sources. Some part from Kotsenis, some part from other sources also, which are needed for welfare, etc. So that is how we'll be taking it up at that point of time. So I repeat again, those of you who want to read for this month, best to read Freud book. You'll get a lot of help when I do macroeconomics from there. Although the other advice will be from my side, that try to cover more of your GS syllabus. Because once we start optional, what will happen? About 3 hours will go in optional class only. If you are coming only for optional, more than 3 hours, but at least around 3 hours will go in class. Then at least say an hour will be going in revising what we have done in the class. So your 4-5 hours are blocked. Then if you are also doing GS class, you will not have much time to revise GS and do many new things. You will be exhausted. By the time, if you are having the GS class, optional class both at the same time, you will say that I don't have time except reading newspapers, etc., or barely revising the class notes. That is why I'm telling that spend this month in accelerating some subject of GS or subjects of GS. Okay, like you can cover major part of history right now. Okay, that will give you a confidence later that, okay, my one area is well prepared, or cover, say, one part of polity in a major way. Try to do where there is more static portion. Like history, polity, I think have more static portions over there, or whatever you like. Okay, say geography portion, if you want to do anything, take any particular subject and accelerate on that, so that when we do the optional part, then even if you devote less time to GS, it will not be a big problem for you. Hope you got the point. Okay, let's come back. For monetary economics, H.L. Ahuja also has part. In macroeconomics itself, H.L. Ahuja has a part. But there is another book by the name of Monetary Economics by S.B. Gupta. Again, it used to be in syllabus of DU long time back. Now they have other things there. For public finance theory, there is a book by Musgrave and Musgrave. Okay, this I'm sure you may be having even now. For Indian public finance, there is another, but this is for public finance theory. As far as the banking, etc., monetary policy, etc., is concerned, RBI website will be helpful. Okay, so RBI website or some of the reports of RBI time to time will also be helpful to you when you are doing money banking part, etc. I'll keep on telling you when we do those parts over here. So this is about reading list of, this is only about micro, macro. Coming to international economics, undoubtedly the main book will be D. Salvatore. Dominic Salvatore, International Economics, considered as a near Bible for international economics. Okay. This is the only book which comes in competition with Freund, I would say. Okay, so Freund and Salvatore book are kind of the book on that particular area which students can largely rely upon. And that is why in this month, even if you buy the copy of these two books, you will not repent that. I will try to give soft copies of many books to you if I have them. Okay, like I have soft copies of many of these books. I will try to arrange it for you. But my advice will be for Freund and Salvatore, you should keep a hard copy also. They are so important books that you will need to read these books again and again till the time that you write the exam. So better to keep a hard copy. Okay, then again, the open economy part can be seen from Freund as well as Salvatore. Since Freund book is on macroeconomics, major part is on general macroeconomics, the later part is on open economy macro. Then some help you will also get from websites of international organizations like WTO, Eurozone, or IMF World websites, etc. Trade blocks, etc. also related websites are there. For example, you'll see a website of ASEAN, or a website related to RCEP, website related to other TPP, etc. You may have heard of RCEP, etc. So these websites also keep on giving you decent idea about what exactly they're up to. Coming to the final part, growth and development. This is the trickiest part as far as the reading is concerned, growth and development, because there is no one book which is good enough. Some of the books I have written, but again, they have to be done very selectively. And when I take up the class, I'll give you some part I'll give you as a copy also in the material. Some part I will give you as soft copy also. If I have soft copy, I'll give you. So one book is Growth and Development with special reference to developing countries. The writer's name is A.P. Thirlwall. Thirlwall book on economic development. Another good book is Todaro and Smith. The name is just Economic Development. These two are the best books, but then neither of them will be enough. Okay, because something or the other is not in each of these books. That is why we have to do certain other parts also, some reports like Human Development Report or the COP report, which keeps on coming time to time, some reports of the World Bank, etc. So this growth and development part of paper 1 is the most subjective paper. Those who prepare economics on their own gets most difficulty in finding reading here. Okay, because there is no reading exactly which fits in with the syllabus of the UPSC. Okay, whatever can fit in, I have already told you. Coming to the paper 2 reading list, again selective one. For economic history, the best book available is that by Tirthankar Roy. Okay, Tirthankar Roy book is again the best one, but not enough. I'll give you some chapters from other economic history books also. Like earlier, this part is also in DU syllabus, if I'm not wrong, in Tirthankar Roy's book. But in our times, we used to have a book called Comprehensive Economic History of India. There are some parts of this syllabus where CHI book chapters are more relevant. So I'll share those chapters with you. As far as post-independence economy is concerned, and I know this book is not very well known, but I consider this as a very good book. There is a book by the name of New Oxford Companion to Economics in India, which is edited by Kaushik Basu. Kaushik Basu is a very famous economist. You may have heard of him. He was chief economic advisor at one point of time. Kaushik Basu has written, not written, but edited 2 volumes of a book by this name. This book is like encyclopedia. Okay, so you start alphabetically and then certain areas of Indian economy is taken up and explained by the expert of that area. Okay, so for example, they will have a article on banking by the ex-governors of Reserve Bank of India. Or they will have, say, an article on Competition Act, who would have himself been participant in the coming up of Competition Act. That is why I rate this book very, very high. Okay, it's precisely written, but written by experts. You can entirely depend on what they write. The biggest problem in economics is, and that is for GS economics also, in today's time of extensive social media, anyone is writing economics textbook. Okay, people who don't have any background in economics, they are writing the best sellers, etc. And that is why quality is compromised. That is one of the reasons in GS also I don't generally advise to read these books. In optional, all the more that risk is there. So you cannot just pick up any book because you have to rely on what they are writing. So that is where this book is important. Maybe the older version, soft copy, will be available with me, but I'm not sure. If you belong to one of the universities right now, you may get this book in your library also. Because I think this was in reading list of DU also, the chapters from here. So maybe if you are from DU or JNU, etc., you'll get this book in your library also. So I thought I should just tell you. Clearly, this book is more popular. Uma Kapila, Indian Economy Since Independence. This you can keep a hard copy also. Okay, sorry? Exactly. So Uma Kapila is all-time favorite in DU, outside DU also. In fact, Uma Kapila book is nothing but the summary of DU readings only. Okay, it is the summary of the reading list of DU only. Because the readings are so many on Indian economy, she just simplifies it and put it in the form of a book. And she has been doing it for a very long time. Okay, we as a student used to also read Uma Kapila book. Okay, she was a professor at Miranda House then. Now she has obviously retired, but keeps on updating her book regularly. Okay, so this is an excellent summary. He was asking about the research inputs being given in the answers. Uma Kapila book will be very helpful because she is precisely doing that only. She is taking an EPW article, simplifying it, putting it in the book, or some other journal article, simplifying it, putting in the book, and keeps on updating. Okay, so if you want to keep one book with you as a hard copy in Indian economy, keep Uma Kapila. Okay, that would be quite helpful. Even if you don't keep this Kaushik Basu book, it's okay. I will try to get you some soft copy, or even in hard copy I will provide, but I cannot guarantee that it will be of the latest edition, because the latest edition books are relatively less commonly available in a soft copy. If I get it, I'll surely share with you. Then for the second paper, you should also be reading economic survey, minimum 2 economic surveys, which is the current and the last year. Possibly I may give you something else also, because when you do economic survey, you will not do it just as a current affairs. In GS, we do economic survey just as a current affairs part. But in optional part, what happens? In 1 year's economic survey, they will write something in more detail. In next year, something else in more detail. So accordingly, you have to use it. Then websites of RBI that I already told you, Niti Aayog website will be very helpful, because one good thing about Niti Aayog has been that they have written and published excellent papers on agriculture and many other things, agriculture mainly. So time to time, if needed, I'll be telling you about that. Undoubtedly, PIB website, PRS website, that you must have heard in GS also. There are few areas where PIB or PRS articles are also very good, and that may summarize some part of it. Then selected articles from business newspaper or regular newspapers or the journals. You don't need to worry about journals. I will give you whatever relevant articles are there. But start reading one business newspaper if possible. Okay, I'm not forcing you. I know you are already burdened with the regular newspaper, you find it difficult to cover, but it would be a good idea if you say read at least editorials, etc. If you are reading a business newspaper, better read Business Line. Okay, although everyone has their own choice. Mint is another very good newspaper. Mint is from Hindustan Times Group. Business Line is from the Hindu Group. I rate these two newspapers the best in business newspaper. Better than Economic Times, etc. according to me. But fine, everyone has their own taste and preferences. So you can take any one of them if possible and try to read at least the editorial. That will be very helpful in the paper too. And then that's it basically that I had to talk about. I'll take your doubts after a quick conclusion. So overall what I was trying to say is that it's an ideal optional economics for definitely the students with the background in economics, but also who preferred scientific approach with the application in the Indian economy. It has been reasonably high scoring subject. Success rate is also high. Okay. Well, I personally think that those who clear prelims and are having economics as an optional, the chances of clearing the overall mains exam is also very high. The biggest enemy of economics optional student is the prelims. And let me tell you the reason behind it. Economics students are bad at memorizing things. Okay, so try to understand your weaknesses from the first day. Okay, most of the students who are from DU, etc., they will say, just give me a numerical, I will solve it. Okay, don't ask for writing too much. But in paper 2, in any case, you have to write. And in prelims, you have to memorize a lot of things. In this memory game, many other optional students beat you big time. Okay, a typical student from history, geography, political science will be much better than memorizing things than the economics optional, and hence their prelims success rate is very high. Automatically their overall success rate becomes good. So I can guarantee you that if you clear prelims and even do my class notes of optional properly, I can reasonably guarantee that you will qualify for the exam. Exact rank will depend upon your hard work also, but clear prelims, that will be a bigger challenge for you. Okay, that is generally the biggest challenge for the economics optional students that I have seen for years. And once that is cleared, things become easy. Okay, so that's the part. Overall weightage of economics is about 20%. We are doing economics discussion, so figures are important. When it comes to prelims, when it comes to mains, when it comes to essay, and even sometimes in interview. In interview also, if there is nothing much to talk about, they just say, okay, tell us something about the government budget, or tell us something about the latest economic survey. So that way you can get questions from there. And just to tell that, nothing else, but it helps you to think like an economist. Okay, so this is all from my side. Let's have some questions, queries that you have. So any offline students so far? Not yet. So let's take some online questions first. No. This lecture is related to optional. I was just telling you that wherever the optional syllabus and GS syllabus is overlapping. Are you getting the point? Because that is also one of the consideration of student, whether they should take a particular optional or not. That how much is the overlapping part. In that case, you can just compare it. That was my goal. I think video will be available on the YouTube portal. Okay. So even those of you or your friends have not been able to attend, they can. Look, you can cover economics optional by yourself and any optional by yourself. Okay. But then you have to be very clear about the nature of questions which are coming. So for that, you'll have to yourself look into PYQs very seriously. If you join the classes, we'll be discussing PYQs in the class, etc. But there is nothing which is impossible. We have students who have cleared both GS and optional all by themselves. They need to be highly devoted and disciplined. Okay. Anything else? I can't see any new question. Is it there? I told you about the materials already. The materials that you were asking for, I gave you.
Sir, budgets and all will also be necessary, obviously.
Budget is less necessary. Let me tell you why. Because budget is mostly about the latest figures on, say, fiscal deficit, tax revenue, etc. And whole question on those parts are not coming. I told you something in the beginning, I'll repeat that again. Whatever current affairs you do for GS is enough for optional also. So whatever summary of budget that you do for GS in any case, even if you take political science as optional, you will do a summary of budget for GS. That's enough for optional. All in all, you don't need to do those things extra for optional.
Economic surveys.
Economic survey you may have to do extra. That's why I told you this year and the last year at least. And I may give you some chapters more, because economic survey is a more detailed document which carries not only what is happening right now, but also what was happening 1 year ago, 2 years ago, etc. So that way economic survey will be more useful. But budget I consider not very useful for the optional.
Will we get yellow books for this?
Yes, you will get, but it will be, okay, so that I didn't tell you, I'm telling you that. He's asking, will you get any yellow book or the reference book in the optional? Yes, you will get, but it will be given in this manner. On microeconomics, maybe I will give you a lot of notes that I prepare myself, because I know that microeconomics is tricky and it's very diverse. Okay, so that will be given in a more simpler form to you. But on macroeconomics, I won't give you a lot of yellow book, because Freud is more than enough. Apart from Freud, if I think some chapters of macroeconomics are important, I'll give you that. So basically, after microeconomics, even if I give you reference material, that will be part of books only. You're getting it? That will be not the notes that I'll be preparing for you. That will be selected sections of the books, okay, or selected chapters of the book. And that will be applicable even in paper 2.
What about growth and development?
Even in that, I'll give you parts of Therval, part of Todaro, some part of report, because the notes you will already make in the class. What is the point repeating? Are you getting it? Even in microeconomics, you will realize that we are doing similar things in the class. But still I give on microeconomics, because that is where we start from. So particularly those people who have no background in economics think that suddenly they are being thrown in the water and told to swim. So that is why I provide one book initially on microeconomics, learn to swim, okay, but then I give the parts of the chapters, and the books which are already there, I don't give them in reference. So Salvatore and Freud, okay, that you should have by yourself. Rest of the books, if it is needed, part of it, chapters of it, I provide. In paper 2, I will provide you a lot of material from Kaushik Basu book, from Uma Kapila book, from EPW articles, and many other articles. Sometimes even newspaper articles if possible. If I find some newspaper article which is very comprehensive, I will provide you in the print form. Okay, that obviously will depend upon what type of articles are there. Okay, so that is how we do. How many years of PYQs are sufficient? Generally not more than 10 years. The reason is that after 2014, the pattern also changed for optional. From 2014 particularly, the pattern also changed. So the nature of questions also changed. I will not advise you to go before 2014. Okay. But even if you do 6-7 years of PYQs very well, that should be enough. And rest, we do conduct test series, etc. also. So later on we can talk about it. Although the test series is separate. So far, maybe at some point of time there will be a link, but so far that has been separated. Could you please clarify, without economics background, doing PG for, okay, will be helpful here or not? Not much, but yes, I can tell you one thing. If you insist that you should do PG along with this part, it will be better to take up some distance education like IGNOU. IGNOU in particular I am telling because there are many booklets of IGNOU which are also a good reading for paper 2 particularly. Like in fiscal federalism or public finance related things or on environment related discussion, the IGNOU materials are also very good. So you will have two things simultaneously going on if you want to kind of back up your career. I understood the point. You want something as a backup apart from this, then you can do something like a distance education. Taking up admission in a formal university is not advisable. One, because then you'll have to devote a lot of time there. And two, many parts of syllabus will be very different. So you'll have to give priority at one place, either here in the class or there in the university. So then you'll have to decide. Create a career in economics for non-background student in undergrad. Okay. Yes, RBI exams are there where economics background is not compulsory. Obviously, civil services is there. Without background, you can appear as economics optional. There are some other exams also, like the Provident Fund related exam or EPFO related exam. In these exams, economics background is preferred but not compulsory. Even if someone is not from economics background but they have a good grasp over the subject, they do it. I will alone be covering the optional. There will be no other faculty, at least in 97-98% of the syllabus, although possibly a few parts at some point of time may be done by someone else also, and maybe not done by also, but so far I have been covering it alone. Okay, so far I have been covering the entire syllabus alone, and that is also one of the reasons why we do only one batch. Okay, so doing one batch is for various reasons. I think that gives more justice to the subject. Okay, we don't have to hurry up that we have to cover syllabus by this time and start a new batch and so on, which is in many other subjects. End of the day, you will say, okay, tell me when we are going to end the syllabus, because there is in a way no limit to it, and we'll try to do as much as we can. And the second is that since I have to take GS classes also, somewhere or the other, the time management becomes difficult. Okay. Any specific? I think I answered that question. Any other doubt? Test series is not included in the course so far. Okay. But if there is any future notification, I cannot say. What is definitely true that those who are the students here, they get good degree of discount separately in the test series even now. Okay. But let's see, that is secondary thing. Okay, that is a secondary thing. You clear the prelims test series from my side for sure. Test series I can assure, no problem on that. But the point is that you should be qualifying for that test series also. Don't write test series as such. Recorded videos will be available, but okay, thanks for raising that question. Recorded videos will be available just like any other optional, but for a limited time, generally not more than 2 days or so. So join the course when you are fully prepared that you will be able to devote time. There are many students who say that we are in a job, we have joined it, but we'll cover it after a month. Please, then don't join it right now. Join it when you are free. The idea is that best it would be if you can attend the class live, online or offline. Obviously, that will be the best part. If for some reason you cannot do it, then try to see the recorded video on the same day, maximum the next day. Okay, don't delay beyond that, because when we cover the syllabus in a speed, then I can't stop them. Then if you will tell me, okay, give me the video of the last week, I won't be able to. So when you join the course, be clear that for another 5-6 months, 6 months roughly you can say, 5-6 months, you have to be very serious about it. Okay, why am I telling 6 months is that in between something or the else may come, like typically during Diwali, most of the students request me that they want to go back home. So 5-6 days go into that and so on and so forth. And that is why I take the time of around 6 months to cover it properly. So keep your 6 months free, then only join the course. Otherwise, better join it later. Okay, that would be my prescription for any optional actually. Okay. So that's it. I can't see any other online question. If it is related to any particular part of syllabus directly, and generally it is needed more in GS rather than optional. Typical Kurukshetra Yojana magazine issues are on agriculture, food processing industry, textile industry, etc. So yes, those parts are coming sometimes in optional also, but more important in GS. Do not read if it is not directly linked to the syllabus. Okay, so that will be the same advice that I give in my GS classes. Okay. Sorry, I didn't get your point. I will start exactly in the same pattern that I discussed. Okay, you want me to know? I will, okay, so let me tell you that. I'll begin my first class with elaborating more on syllabus. So here I discuss the syllabus, but in some short part. I will elaborate that more in the first class. Okay, then we'll go to some of the very basic things in economics, mostly microeconomics. Then I will be spending a few classes on mathematics. Minimum 2 classes I spend on the basic mathematics, where I give main focus on differentiation. Because whatever is other than differentiation, most of you would have done it. After that, we come back to microeconomics and continue from there. So my pattern will be exactly same. Okay. Some other teachers who are teaching optional, they keep on mix and matching. They will start with macro, then come back to micro and so on. I think it is better to stick to the pattern. Okay, because microeconomics even historically is the oldest part of economics. So it is better to take up in a historical manner only. So micro, macro, international, growth development, then economic history, and then the remaining part. So paper 1 and paper 2 will do in that exact way only. I hope that is clear. Okay. Yes.
Will this paper be helpful in RBI grade B?
Exactly. RBI grade B exam and this syllabus is very much overlapping, except in RBI grade B, they have some finance related topic in more detail, which is not here. Okay, so in this economics optional, the areas of finance, stock markets, etc. are not here, which is in RBI. And if I'm not wrong, in RBI, they are also asking econometrics questions. Okay. Even the mathematical economics. So econometrics and mathematical economics are not in UPSC. In economic service, they ask. So actually, Indian Economic Service and RBI exam are somewhat more similar. But major part of syllabus here will be there also. There you'll have to read slightly more. Okay, that's the basic idea. Okay. Correct. You have 11 o'clock batch. Okay. Generally, they shift your batch if it is not problematic for you. Okay. That we can talk about separately. Don't worry about it. So, is it which batch it is? Okay, which must have been started recently only. Then it won't be a problem. How many classes in all did you had by now? Okay, only 5-6 classes, no problem then. Just request them whenever you are confident that you are going to choose it. They will shift it either to the morning or to the afternoon one. Since you had only 5-6 classes, in any case it doesn't matter, because that will be done in those batches also. Okay, so that's not a problem at all. That is done for all the optional subjects if the timing is coming in conflict. Major problem comes if the students come from older batches where many classes have been done. They do adjustment for them also, but for the student it becomes difficult. For you it should not. Okay, any other general query? Okay, I think I told you the recorded video will be available for some time. So rest is fine. Okay, all the best. Although this was a formal discussion, even other than that, if you want to meet me and clarify some doubt, you can meet me anytime. Almost every day I'll be here for some class. Either around 10:30 you can find me in the staff room, generally during the morning class break, or around afternoon. So whenever you want to come and talk to me, you can, no problem on that. So okay, I was left with, okay, fine. Yes, there was just a last page for thank you and my email ID, mainly for the people who are online attending it. If you have any query and you can't ask me physically, you can contact me here. So obviously anyone can do this. So it's shyamsunder14@gmail.com. In case you need any clarification beyond that, I'll be sure helping you. Okay, so that's it from my side. I hope that was helpful to all of you, and that's it. I would hope that you'll be coming, say, around the beginning of the August and joining economics as an optional. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Okay.